President Trump tweeted, quote, "The first so-called secondhand information whistleblower got my phone conversation almost completely wrong. So now word is they are going to the bench, and another, quote, whistleblower is coming in from the deep state also with secondhand info." Wow, there's a lot to unpack in that. But let's just start with the idea. Is the whistleblower claim completely wrong, as the president says?
Not at all, Jake. The whistleblower had a 3-bullet point list about this call, and all 3 of those bullet points were effectively corroborated by the transcript, or the rough transcript, released by the White House itself. So let's go through all 3. Number 1 was that Trump pushed Ukraine's president to investigate the Bidens. Correct.
True, yes.
Trump pushed the president of Ukraine to investigate this debunked Ukraine server conspiracy theory. Correct.
True,
Number 3 was Trump pushed Zelensky to speak to his own lawyer Giuliani and the Attorney General Barr. That's correct as well. Now, the one caveat, Trump seems to take issue with the whistleblower saying this was pressure. Trump says, oh, it was a friendly talk, a friendly request. So he can quibble with the use of the word pressure. But in terms of the substance of those allegations, all of them have been confirmed.
Not to mention the White House has acknowledged on background that the transcript was then put in the secret file server.
Sure,
exactly. Which is also in the whistleblower complaint.
It is.
So Trump tweeted that he thinks that Speaker Pelosi and Chairman Adam Schiff should be impeached. Fact check that for us.
Jake, there is no, as you know, there is no impeachment for members of the House. Members of the House can do impeaching of other people, like the president. They can be expelled, but not impeached. And Trump also got wrong the reasons that he said those 2 should be impeached. He said they should be impeached for treason. Nothing they've done even approaches the constitutional definition of treason. And he said that Schiff illegally met, or his committee staff illegally met with the whistleblower. It is routine for the House Intelligence Committee to meet with potential whistleblowers. Nothing about this is illegal at all.
And then lastly, the president also referenced this picture of former Vice President Joe Biden golfing. Let's put it up there if we can, which was also misleading.
It was, yeah. So Trump said that this photo showed Joe Biden golfing with the, quote, company boss of Burisma, the Ukrainian natural gas firm. The gentleman in question, Devon Archer, was a longtime business associate of Biden's son, Hunter Biden, who was also on the board of directors, like Hunter Biden was. A board member is not the company boss. So again, Trump misidentified someone to try to serve his political purposes.
Row by row, there are hundreds of them. Seated on the ground, heads shaved, blindfolded, their hands are bound behind their backs as dozens of guards hover in SWAT uniforms. It's unclear who these prisoners are, but Western intelligence sources tell CNN they believe the video is authentic, that it shows Muslim ethnic minorities, and that the video was shot in Xinjiang, China. Xinjiang is the western Chinese region where the government has detained hundreds of thousands of Muslims over the past several years, according to the United States. Detainees are almost exclusively ethnic minorities, including Uyghurs, who have lived in the region for generations, now housed in massive camps like this one that we saw firsthand on a trip to Xinjiang in March. We were followed by police every moment of our 6-day journey. Multiple ex-detainees and a former camp employee have told CNN that torture and political indoctrination are rampant inside the camps. Critics say Beijing has rounded up minorities arbitrarily and en masse in a blatant attempt to destroy their cultures and wipe out Islam within its borders. Beijing has repeatedly denied that, saying the camps are merely, quote, vocational training centers designed to counter Islamic extremism in Xinjiang, which has seen terrorist attacks in the past. A Western intelligence source tells CNN their analysis of the video, posted online anonymously last month, shows detainees transferred by train. Analysis by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute suggests the video was shot in the city of Korla in August 2018. In response, the Xinjiang government said in a statement to CNN, quote, cracking down on crimes in accordance with law is the common practice of all countries. Xinjiang's crackdown on crimes has never been linked to ethnicities or religions. Transporting inmates by judicial authorities belongs to normal judicial activities. But 2 men, one in the Netherlands and one in Kazakhstan, say the activity is anything but normal and that the video is terrifyingly familiar because they lived through something similar. Amanjan Said, a Muslim ethnic Kazakh, says he was detained in China in 2018, never told what for. Held in his first camp for several weeks, he says he was transferred to another, exactly as shown in the video. We were made to sit just like that, he says. They put cuffs on our hands and legs and masks over our heads. Lots of police were there with guns. He was released after several months and now lives in Kazakhstan, a country on China's western border. While detained, he says the fear of what might happen was the worst.
한국에선 우리 얘기를
Watching the video, I'm still scared because I know what the prisoners are thinking. They don't know where they're being taken or if they'll be shot dead. It's terrifying. There are no publicly known instances of shooting deaths inside the camps. More than 3,000 miles away, Omarbek Bakali, another Muslim Kazakh, knows how it feels to be scared in custody. He lives in the Netherlands now after being detained in a Chinese camp for months in 2017. He claims he was tortured regularly and describes the camps as hell. I think the reason they want to torture us is, firstly, to make us physically weak so that you cannot resist. Bakali says though he was transferred between camps by car, he too had a bag placed over his head and his hands shackled. Watching the drone video, he's overcome with emotion. I feel so sad, he says. That used to be me. I cannot forget that. It's criminal. Beijing did not respond to questions about the allegations from both men. CNN cannot independently verify the authenticity of this video or the date it was shot. Prisoners in China are regularly transported wearing blindfolds, and it's unclear whether the men are being held for criminal offenses or for other reasons. But this drone video does not exist in a vacuum. Rather, it is a singular piece of a swiftly mounting body of evidence, including firsthand accounts that shows China is persecuting people in Xinjiang simply because they are Muslim, committing human rights abuses in the process. Matt Rivers, CNN.
China and the NBA. The GM for the Houston Rockets, with a single tweet that he then deleted, but it was a tweet in support of pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. That's how this began. China responds, demanding a quote-unquote correction, and the NBA gives it, essentially. I mean, let me read part of the NBA statement saying, "We recognize that the views expressed by Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey have deeply offended many of our friends and fans in China, which is regrettable." I mean, this may be about offending in part. This may be about basketball in part. This is about money, but this is about freedom. This is about human rights. This is about a geopolitical mess.
Well, first of all, the statement that you just read was the English language statement. The Chinese language statement that was delivered by the NBA was actually different and much more apologetic.
What?
Believe it or not. Yeah, I know no one's advising these people, obviously, but no, it's quite something. The Chinese market is important to the NBA. They think it's their future. A lot of Chinese are really into basketball. There's a lot of money there. And so when the Chinese say, how can you possibly say this? One of your GMs supporting Hong Kong, what the NBA should have said is, hey, we do not take political stances. What he says stands for itself. I actually heard about this originally. I was talking to my friend Enes Kanter, who is the Celtics center,
right,
but is strongly anti-Erdogan in Turkey and has been very public about that because they've imprisoned his father.
But the NBA supported him.
The NBA has never had a problem with him making political statements, and he's Enes. I mean, the NBA isn't going to say we as a league don't like Erdogan, but they're not trying to muzzle their player. There is only one difference here, and the difference is Chinese cash. And South Park, for example, just shut down today in China. Why? Because the Chinese didn't like what South Park had to say about the Chinese. They're vastly more powerful economically today than they were 5-10 years ago, and American corporations, if you want to do business there, are saying, what can we do to facilitate you? And that means we're going to censor ourselves, we're going to censor our employees, and we'll fire them if there's a problem. The Americans are going to have to get used to this reality.